What up, Marsh Pod? Apologies right off the bat here. We got some maybe not as ideal audio quality. Little early, late season road trip in action. So you don't get that crystal clear audio that you normally get. That smooth, silky morning sounds. But we're still here, man. We're still here. We've got some news over the weekend on the college front that I thought was worth chatting about. Of course, Lorenzo Phenom joining the Wolverines. I think this is a great fit. Juwan Howard has shown a really great opportunity and capability, I think. Great might be an exaggeration, but he's shown an ability to get something out of his players. I think this is a big signing for both sides, because I think Juwan Howard actually is despite doing some good things out of his signings, I also think, and this is going to sound contradictory, but I also think he's got some need to be better, and in a coaching landscape in which coaches tend to come and go pretty quickly, I think Juwan Howard is getting a boost because of his involvement previously with the school. So I think grabbing Lorenzo Phenom for the school and for Coach Howard, that's a big one, because Phenom in their backyard, despite all of his ideals, the rumors about him leaving last season, this is the right spot for him. And I actually think that there probably was a cooling on Lorenzo Phenom to some extent. With everything that was talked about him, about being a, lackluster teammate, the constant flirtations with departing bad boys, I think that his suitors, from what I've been told, weren't quite as big as what people probably would have expected out of him. So a backyard fit is probably pretty good with a team and a school that needs a big star to lean on, and then a player that's trying to rebuild some of his brand. That all, I think, really matters. So that pairing is solid. Second thing, Yacht Club, man. Look, Rick, you were right, man. I got to stop talking about some of these teams. I mean, I'm not going to, but I couldn't be more wrong on Yacht Club, at least with what they've done most recently. Thought they had the pieces, and that 2-game sample, if I'm going to come out and tell you, and this is where we're going to have to respect both sides of the coins, and I think I'm going to be the first person to tell you if I was wrong. I'm not going to try to hide being right or hide my incorrectness, but if we're going to talk about, hey, we can't overreact to good teams losing games, we need to take an equal, and myself included, take an equal emphasis on not overreacting to bad teams winning. I think normally we do that when it's one loss or it's one win, right? Let's say the North, sorry guys, you're not good, beats a good team, and we immediately start saying, well, maybe this bad team isn't good enough. Maybe this good team isn't good enough. Well, we need to start, and Yacht Club is the perfect example of a team that wins a couple, but maybe they just weren't great competition, or maybe it was just that, every dog has its day, because they just haven't been as good. They just haven't. And that to me is surprising, because they have 3 guys with Jay Lasser, Dominic Bianco, and Adam Max that should be doing a lot of really good things. They just haven't. And where do they figure it out? I don't know. I think they've got to find ways to be more consistent. Dominic Bianco has had some tough nights, as has Jay Lasser. There can certainly be an over-reliance. Obviously, when you have one good player, I think that gets extenuated when you have 3 good players. And I think that could be the case right now with the Yacht Club, where it's just like, well, if we run out these 3 guys, we've got 3 dudes that should be better than the top 3 in the aggregate of who we're playing against. I just don't think that's true, especially when you're going up against teams that maybe your top 3 is better, Yacht Clubs, but your top 5 isn't, or your top 3 is better, but that's because your number 2 and 3 are better than the number 1 that you're going up against, and the number 1 is just better, or very real possibility our top three isn't as good as we thought they were, or at least I thought they were. So that's a team that needs a turnaround. Where they find it, tough to kind of look at because their next game, it's tonight, 9 p.m., Bay Area Breakers. That's on the road. That's not going to be an easy get-right game with the way Bay Area has been playing recently. I think that's, 4 straight wins for the Breakers. So this is a pivotal moment as we look ahead for the week. What week are we at? We got a number on this, week 1 of June. If you want to, week 2, however you want to look at the calendar. But this is a big moment for them because they've got to find a way to get this losing streak kind of put out, put the fire away, if you will. But real quick, let's look at Tuesday, Wednesday games, since the next time you'll be hearing from me will be Thursday. Yacht Club has a huge back-to-back. We said Bay Area, then they come home to get a not bad Oceania team. That's at 7 on Wednesday. That's a huge week for them. But looking specifically at Tuesday games, I think it's a dangerous game for H-Town against SimWorld Atlantis. You've got some folks on Atlantis calling out a non-communicative head coach. Wow, where have we heard this one before? The hell is wrong with you? But this is a big one. H-Town, this is the battle of the no-shows, the battle of the no-show coaches in Texas tonight. That's at 8. The Hoopers, man, they're really good. And I think part of the reason why we've looked at this team and said, hey, they don't have a number 1 is not because they don't have the star power to do it, but I think as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, it's not so much a star power, but it's a lack of organization from a head coaching perspective. Why are the originators so reliant on DJ Wagner? Obviously, part of that is because DJ Wagner is a top 2 basketball player in SimWorld Hoops. But they also have a coach that has built a system that oscillates around him. Why is Bronny James? Why is Trey Turner? These are players that are really good, that have a coach that understand how to build a system to accentuate their positives. That's not the case in H-Town. They've got Tyrell Thompson, who's really good. They've got Keith and Carter, Cam Jones. They've got really, really good basketball players, but they've had no coach there to help them make this system work. Right now, I think if you look at those 3 guys, and those aren't the only good players on that basketball team, but let's just use them as an example. The whole team, the 10-man rosters, they've got 10 cogs of that group. But they've just kind of been mishmashed together because there's no direction on where they need to go. They need to have some type of direction and a coach to put them in and say, this is the cog that needs to be the biggest, whether that's Thompson, Cam Jones off the bench, should he be starting, whether that's Keith and Carter. One of those guys needs to be the big cog. Those 2 other guys need to be slightly smaller but not small cogs, and then the rest of the machine kind of works around it. That's the way it works with the other big organizations. That's the way it works with Bay Area. You've got 3 big cogs, right? You've got Caden Shipp, you've got Royce Anderson, you've got Trey Hyman. Sean Hyman's a little bit smaller of a cog, right? And then you've got the rest of the roster that fills that out. That's not to say those smaller cogs aren't valuable. They absolutely are, but you need an architect to put it together. And right now, H-Town doesn't have that. So it's a big week for them in that aspect of you've got to match up against a team on paper, talent-wise, you should win. And now it looks like potentially coaching-wise, you should win as well. Run DMV AT Aliens, that kicks off the game, or the night at 7. That is not broadcast. We got doubleheader on Wednesday night, but that's another game to watch. Run DMV's been awesome. AT Aliens has been a team that they fall into that yacht club category. They've been frisky at times, but they've never really put together a long stretch. There's good talent there. But if you're Run DMV, you've been red hot. You've been red hot for the last, 2 months, I think it is now almost. We talked about them in the Pointless Power rankings. They've been red hot, and so to find a way for them, they've got to keep this going. This is a don't lose the grip type of game, and a head coach like Myron Murray obviously is going to do that. But this is a don't lose the grip. Let's keep it rolling. You get a matchup with the Yacht Club after that on Thursday, if you just want to talk about a week from hell for the Yacht Club. So a chance to kind of solidified. These are the games that when you look around, you need to beat your middle of the pack teams, your SimWorld middle class as we call them. Run DMV has 2 opportunities for that. And then just last point on Yacht Club as we look at that third game of the week, man. This is do or die for Yacht Club. Okay, you've lost a handful in a row. You've got Bay Area, Oceania, and then AT Aliens. Run DMV. The worst of those 3 is Oceania, who's 7-10, but they've won 2 in a row. Yacht Club, you're 7-9, and you've lost 3. There's a very real chance this team loses 6 straight. By the time this podcast airs on Thursday, they could have lost 5 straight. And there's a very real chance we listen to it and then see them lose a 6th. That's possible. The only game you feel good about there is Oceania because they're going up against Bay Area. They've won 4. Run DMV, they've won 5, and I think it's 9 of 10 now, 8 of 10. And then, mix in a little frisky Oceania team that's won 2 in a row after I think they lost 2, but they won 2 or 3 ahead of that, so they've been good. They've been 3-2 in their last 5. This is a tough stretch. So if you're looking at the schedule for the week, you're saying, what do I need to know? Let's start with Tuesday. Let's pay attention to Run DMV. Pay attention to that Bay Area Yacht Club game. Pay attention to the H-Town Hoopers. And keep your eye on Yacht Club because the yacht could be sinking by the end of this week. All right, talk to you Thursday.